pain, this is my pleasure. It's not good, right? It's not good. One must go beyond that, beyond the pains and pleasures of this world, because they come and go. Today you are happy, tomorrow you're not. Someone used to say to me, if you cannot tolerate pain, you shouldn't get married. Because in marriage, one day you're happy, one day you're not happy. One day you're happy, one day you're not happy. He said, just be happy you have a partner, and whatever they do, okay, but you still have a goal that you want to reach. Fine. That applies on every single principle in this world, okay? To say that when you're distressed, don't identify too much with it. Yes, you'll feel the pain because you have, for many, many years, you've identified with stress. So you absorb it, but at the same time, you continue practicing your spiritual life. It's like having a child in the house. Sometimes you're sick, but because there's a baby, you still have to take care of them. Sometimes you don't want to take care of the baby, but you still wake up and take care of the baby. So when you are stressed and when you are happy, don't stop practicing spiritual life. Don't allow happiness and distress to dictate thinking, Manje, I'm happy. So therefore, because I'm happy right now, then I can just slow down. There's no slowing down. I'm not saying you may not fall down. It happens sometimes that your energy is reduced and you are unable to practice. Let me just quickly say, Tejo, I always say when our expectations and reality don't align, that creates pain. So, the other day, someone was telling me their ideas, what they want to do, and I reminded them then some while ago, they were also telling me their ideas, what they want to do. And a while ago, they also told me an idea what they want to do. So I said to him, because you continuously do this, you don't realize the more you don't do what you promised, the more you are reducing your self-confidence. Whatever you say you're going to do, you must do it. Even if you fail, don't fail in your mind, fail in the activity. So, but if you create expectations and then create obstacles, those two things, they are going to clash inside of you and they are going to create a disease, and that's why you're going to have pain. So yes, I'm with you there, Tejo, to say no. If your expectations and reality, they don't meet, they don't align, pain is guaranteed without a doubt. And where there is pain and you identify with this pain, I can guarantee you spiritual life will become difficult. Now, let me further say this. There was a war between Napoleon and a particular general. I just don't remember his name right now, but I can give you a summary of the story. This general thought that he could defeat Napoleon, and so he rallied the English, he rallied the Russian. He said, now it's time to get Napoleon. He doesn't have as many army and as many soldiers as possible. He has limited army. Little did he know Napoleon had at least 70,000 men ready to go to war. Napoleon, that guy is such a genius. They say that he blocked the Russians, he blocked the English, and there was no reinforcement, and this particular general was left on his own in his army. And Napoleon stopped this guy without a single shot fired. There was no bullet. And this guy was sent to prison for not winning this particular war and just losing like that out of humiliation. Then they say that for the rest of his life, he spent all his life thinking, how did I lose? Where did I go wrong? For all his life. Because he really wanted to defeat Napoleon. Mind you, Napoleon was like what Beyonce is to some people. He was so great. What Tupac was to some people, what Drake is to some people, what Nelson Mandela is to some people. It was his time to shine. There was no way of defeating Napoleon. So these guys' expectations and reality, they didn't meet, and he was in pain for the rest of his life. Until he died. He identified with the pain and the failure. His thoughts were correct. Let's get Napoleon right now, because actually they say that he was in France, right? He was in France and he was in prison, but he studied Napoleon, so he knows how Napoleon works. But he does not know this genius called Napoleon. When it is your time to shine, it is your time to shine. When your karma is aligned, is aligned. Unfortunately, this guy's expectations and this guy's reality were not the same. The reality was that he was facing a man at his prime, and he was a genius, that man, in war. And now his expectations was the Russians will come. They didn't come because Napoleon blocked them. The English didn't come. There was no reinforcement. He was on his own. But Napoleon defeated him without one single shot fired. But the result was he was fired, he was demotivated, he was sent to prison, and for the rest of his life, he was in pain. The thing is, he identified with the war. He identified with winning. He thought that he was going to win, but he didn't win. But after that defeat, he was even more defeated, humiliated, because everybody thought someone must defeat Napoleon, and whoever that was going to defeat Napoleon was take the crown, and he was going to be worshipped because they defeated the monster, right? But he didn't, so the pain was even more. But if he was spiritually trained, probably he would spend 2 or 3 months in that pain, but then overcoming it with realizations. Remember I said there's inspirations and there is realization. Thank you, Zanendalo. Actually, I want to say something about that number that you have, which is 1080. 180, some people say there's 7 chakras. It's okay. That's not just 7 chakras. It's 7 channels, right? So these channels, they are, say, this is sugar cane, right? There's sugar cane in here. So you have a channel on the heart, you have a channel on the throat, you have a channel here. But it's spirals of energy that are circumambulating on these regions. There are 7 of them. However, it will be wrong to think they are only parts that have energies. There are other parts in the system that have energies, but they go towards these 7 energies. In total, there's 108 chakras in total. So when I see that number 1080 on your account, I'm inspired, because it also means 9, because 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 is a returning number. Basically, after 9 you start again. After 9 you start again. So when you come in this life and you are a 9 in numerology, that's where it ends. You become a benefactor. You benefit a lot of people. A lot of people get pleasure from you. A lot of people, they get sensation from you. People who are hungry can be healed by the thought process of a person who comes as a 9 when it comes to life, when it comes to numerology. 9 begins everything. From the 9, that's where it ends. If you look at the letter I, it is the 9th. It is the 9th letter. Yeah. If you identify with that letter I, it would mean that immediately after that, you will start to begin a new cycle. Because 9, when 9 is done, which is godly, by the way, 9 is also a godly element. When 9 is done, it begins a new cycle. It begins a new cycle. So 108 is a very auspicious number. I should think next time if you make an account, you should continue calling yourself 108. It's a very, very, very big number. Any spiritualist will understand 118. Another thing, let's separate 1 and 8. 1 means pioneer, to begin something, to start anew. Hence, when we go back to 9, when 9 is done, you can begin anew. And then 8 is, it looks like this, looks like infinity, right? It has no point where it starts. It has no point where it ends. So 8 represents the soul, which is eternity, because the soul is eternal. It has no point. The soul is never born, so the soul will never die. You'll never die. You are never born. The only thing that takes birth is the illusion that I have this physical body, or I am this physical body. So you make the two distinctions between I have a physical body and I am the physical body. Those two things are not the same. I'm not the physical body. I just have this physical body for now. I borrowed it from the earth and I'm going to return it to the earth, and that's all I know. But I'm not this physical body. Why am I saying I'm not the physical body? If I eat a chicken, or if I eat even a human being, that person or that soul that's inside of those body, they lose that body, and I'm gaining this body into this body. So I'm adding on to this body. So therefore I'm not this physical body. Fine. So let's go back to 108. So 8 is eternity. So one must begin eternal life. That's what 108 means. One must begin eternal life, which is the 8. And then come in full circle every now and then so that you can reach another level, because you go from 1 until 9. Hence, when you are on a spiritual path, it goes from one stage to another. The highest stage you will reach is 9. When you're done with that, remember we are peeling off onions. When you are done, that's on the 9th platform, and you begin again to 1, and you have to add 8 steps to that so that you can go from one level to another. So every stage that you go through in your spiritual life, it has 9 levels. Even creation has 9 steps. The first step is the chunk. Let me give you an example. When you are on earth, there is let's say gold. Let me say steel. There is steel. There is minerals. If you want a car, you must get the minerals. You must get the whatever they call them in science. You must get all that stuff, put them together, and then you can create the car. But the first creation is those minerals. That is the first creation. The second principle of creation that comes is the person who's going to take those things apart and use the properties and qualities of those things in order to make a kettle, in order to make a cup, etc. like that. But it's a ninefold process. Anything spiritual, ninefold process. Creation is a ninefold process. Letting go. Brahma Bhuta Prasanat Manasochati Nakangsati Samasar Veshibhut Sumat Bhaktin Lavate Param. Kangsati and Sochati. Even when you are on a stage of giving up something, it's a process that takes place in 9 folds. So therefore one must be patient before they can get rid of something. So 108 is an auspicious number. You can use it anytime to remind yourself of the process. 1 and 8. 1 means begin, 8 your spiritual life, which is eternity. And then 9, which means to start again. Finished off this part, start again. And again, 108 chakras. Now I want to say something about this. Even though it's 108, there's 6 of them. They are not in the physical body. They're just outside. But they're always with you. I think that's why I'm going to start with that. It's a big. Thank you for the likes. Thank you, Zanendalon. 108. I still see this 108. I actually really want to talk about it. Or what I'll do is I'm going to create a video specifically on 108, because I use 108 prayers every single day. And that's why I can easily remember. When I see this number, I can already see this. Every single day, I do 108 prayers 16 times. Every single day. That takes me about 2 hours to do. It's a big number, but I'm probably going to spend time on it. Tejo says, hence we have to focus on learning, not the results. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Hence we have to focus on learning, not the results. Thank you for sharing. Look, you are eternal. There's never be a point when you're going to die. The results can bring you a little bit of happiness and a little bit of stress. So it is never, for a spiritualist, it is never the result that matters to us. It's something else. It's overcoming. Hence, again, it takes us back to 9. Once you've reached the pinnacle, once you've reached the goal, whatever that you were working for, you have to begin again a new. There is 8 processes in spiritual life. The first one is called faith. The first one is called faith, to have faith in what you're going to do. The second one is a stage where you hang around people who talk about spiritual things and deep ones. And I'm not talking about people who still doubt this path or still people looking for this and that. No, not that. I'm talking about people who actually understand what they're doing. The third one is to get initiated into a process. Any process that you take must have some form of initiation. The fourth one is called anarthonivriti. This is a stage where you need to clear difficulties or things that will cause the path to be difficult. Very important. And then there is taste. You need to taste spiritual life. Without taste, you won't be able to continue, because it's not for the weak. Not everybody wants to see you sitting down and meditate. Some people want to see you work all the time. Some people want to see you at the club. Some people want to see you at the funeral. Some people want to see you at the wedding. Some people want to see you playing games. Things that comes and go. Things that delay you. Things that makes you feel like, I should have never done that. Why did I do that? All that stuff. So it's not easy. So you must develop taste for spiritual life. Then once you develop taste, the 6th thing that will happen is called ashakti, attachment. You become attached to spiritual things. When you see a sign of attachment for spiritual things, you know that you're making progress. Then the 7th thing that will happen is emotions, spiritual emotions. There is such a thing as spiritual emotions. Nadanam najanam, no, not that. Ainandatani chaking karam baditam babam bisham badom karam badom. Ainandatani chaking karam baditanam baditam bishamam badom kripa stita duli suditam bit. Nainam galadasu dharaya badanam gadgadarudha gira pulaka is nachitam bapukat. That when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love? Huh? When will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant holy name? When will my voice choke up? When will my hair stand on end? There must come a time when you have spiritual emotions, when your voice is choking. Because remember, spiritual life has everything to do with the heart. When you must reach a point where you have deep spiritual emotions. When you have deep spiritual emotions, the tears, they just flow. You just cry. When you remember, this is how far I've come. I've come so far for this thing. And then now I've reached the pinnacle. When you start to see God with your own eyes, you start to cry. You start to have emotions. This is called Bhava stage. On the Bhava stage, you cry piteously. Your hairs, they grab, they stand on end. You faint, your voice choke up, you have torrents of rains in your eyes, your bones collapse, your hand becomes your leg becomes your hand. When you reach that stage, actually I was reading something this morning about a guy who was meditating, and I was laughing also because a part of it involves he was meditating, but what he did, he was practicing a particular yoga. He was standing upright with his hands like this and his toes like batuba ballet. He had his toes standing on his toes. He did this for many years. He didn't move. They say that his body was eaten by ants, and there was an ant hill that formed on his body, and these ants were eating his body up, but he did not die. He was left with bones, they say. His hands straight up like this, and he was left with bones. They said his spirit was sustaining the bones. And then the original creator of the universe came to visit him and told him, "Naiman, stop doing this because you will destroy the universe when you keep doing that." And he stopped him, and he awarded him a new body because He was doing that because he was looking for a particular result. He just wanted to live forever and ever and never die, but here on the world. He didn't want to go above. Why am I saying this? It's because there's stages in spiritual life, and there's stages in spiritual practices. One of them is overemphasis on what people call spiritual gifts. One of those gifts is the ability to create your own universe, the ability to create planets, the ability to destroy a universe from thought, all that stuff. But it's not the goal. The goal is spiritual emotions, because we live to please other people. It is by pleasing other people that we become very happy. But to what extent you want to please those people must be completely spiritual. So the one thing you want is spiritual emotions. There is such a thing as spiritual emotions, but they are so deep they will make you collapse. I've once heard that they say in the Bible, Moses wanted to see God, and God said, "You can't see me, but I can show you my back." I know there is a particular section where they say that, not in the Bible, that this should be in the Veda. In the Veda, they say that God is so beautiful, if you see him, you're going to faint. And it's true actually, because when you become emotionally charged and you start to see spiritual beings, not just God, but spiritual beings, their beauty is beyond imagination. So that stuff can make you collapse, by the way. So just as much as I have posted talks on ghosts, it doesn't mean that I mustn't talk about spiritual people and spiritual beings, how beautiful they are. When they say you're black, they have not said anything. Spiritual beings, there are spiritual beings who the entire body is black, complete black, and not just like like this black, the whole body black, and no twin colors and things like that. There are beings who are like that, but they are very beautiful, extremely beautiful. There are beings whose color is just, their whole body is just white, pink, literal pink. Some they yellow. The whole entire body is just yellow with nothing else. But when you look at them, you become emotionally attached. So that's emotions. But that's not the last stage. Emotional stages, even when you reach them, you could actually be blinded again. You must reach a stage called love. Love, pure love of spiritual energy. When you reach that energy, you don't come back into the problems of this world. Guys, let me check if there is questions and realization that everybody said. With your support, with your realization, I am very thankful, particularly to Zanendalo 108. I still love this number for sharing this life. I think this comes because when you have a beautiful heart, that you would want a lot of people to hear this information of the Bhagavad, and I would do the same thing, because actually to spend 2 minutes with me, it's a sacrifice, because you could do something with that time except spending time with me. I appreciate that. It's called sacrifice. Jagyai Sankirtana Prayai. Yagya means sacrifice. Spiritualists, they sacrifice a lot, and they do this for the benefit of others. So when you share life, you know somebody out there is going to be benefited for what you did. So I'm appreciative, and I hope we could continue in this way. And my voice at the moment is a little bit rough. I have to wake up tomorrow and I have a singing session at 5:30 in the morning. So I would like to end this talk here, and most likely, if I don't come back tomorrow, I'll be back Monday around the same time. But I think I can do Sunday. As soon as I finish the entire program that I'm doing on Sunday, I'll be giving a talk at 3 p.m. on Sunday. But I won't do this live. It's with the people that will be closer to where I am. So once again, guys, I thank you for your time, and if there's any one of you that I could have offended, I would like to apologize profusely. If there's anybody of you is benefited from this knowledge, I'm also grateful, and I hope that we can meet again very soon. Meantime, have a lovely night. Nice to see you again, Nozipo. And thank you, Samantha. Thank you very much for your time too, because spiritual life, it begins with two things. One is the ability to hear, and the second part is the ability to speak. So he who hears is rendering service to somebody who is speaking, and he who is speaking is rendering service to somebody who is hearing. So it's a two-way, it's never a one-way. So when you are hearing, it's called Shravanam. It's called Shravanam, and then when you're speaking, it's called Kirtanam. So because you are hearing, then you are rendering service. You are also serving me by hearing, and because I'm speaking, I'm also serving you by speaking. So it's a two-way. It's not a one-way. So and also because we are together, then I'm used as a vessel to remind you about the things that you know. I'm used as a vessel to remind you about how far you've come to actually. Another thing about spiritual life is that it's not every day that you're going to meet this information. It's only meant for those people who are actually spiritually qualified to reach this particular knowledge. So I would say that whoever stayed here as long as they did, it would mean they are way qualified than I am. So I am humbled to be a servant, and we'll meet soon. Dumza, good night. Samantha, good night. Sanendalo, good night. I love you, one at 8 Baytime. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the sharing. Nozipo will see you soon. And let me see who else has been here for a minute. Yeah, it says Tempilo. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. And Tandima Baso and men. Guys, it's been a pleasure. My voice is finished. See you very soon. Appreciate it. Good night. Namaste.